Yeah, my name is Venice Session. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm a co-founder of the Be-troit International Artist Exchange Project.
My name is Damasio. I'm an artist out of Southwest Detroit, and I'm traveling right now on this college tour with the Be-troit group.
I am Natasha T. Miller, and I do a lot of things. I am a poet, I am an LGBTQ advocate, activist, native Detroiter. So most of my work just talks about my identity, about what it's like to be Black, what it's like to be queer, what it's like to be a woman, how these three things all are connected, how they affect each other, and how they are affected by the world, essentially.
Be-troit International Exchange is mostly about being able to take artists, creative people, and give them a chance to have a cultural exchange.
I think anytime where you're able to bring people to connect people from different parts of the world is very necessary. A lot of times we're so institutionalized and stay in our own neighborhoods that we have to be able to connect with people even across the other side of the planet.
I think a project like Be-troit is necessary because it doesn't just, it's a lot further than art, I think. I think that it's introducing artists to a space outside of their own and kind of getting them to reflect and see what they need to do in their own cities, in their own country, and I don't know, I think that just, it gets you outside of your comfort zone. Like when I think about my art and how safe it is sometimes, or how comfortable I am in it sometimes, and I think about the Be-troit project, I realize that there's so much work that needs to be done on my own art, and I can only see that through the lens of being around other artists, and artists who, again, are just not like me. So I think it's important for your art, but I think it's also important just from like a local and a regional standpoint, you kind of touring the world with these artists from different backgrounds, and you seeing the world and you figuring out how you can bring some of that world back to your own city.
So I think this project specifically, Be-troit, is significant to the city of Detroit in particular, is because there has always been a wealth of creativity in this space.
Detroit is a beautiful place to me. I mean, I grew up there. I suffered a lot, and I also had a lot of great experiences. So it's like, I think people like to focus only on the negatives, you know? When really, like, we produce some of the best music, you know? We have the automobile industry that came from Detroit, you know? And yeah, it's like, it's tough in some places, but that's all around the world. It's not just Detroit.
Yes, it's about the city of Detroit and the creative energy we have here specifically, but then also for the greater common good of people, and specifically Black people, being able to have those international experiences and going out of the country.
Yeah, everywhere I go outside of Detroit, for the most part, people have these crazy ideas that are like, oh my gosh, how did you make it out of Detroit? Detroit, like, oh my gosh, have you ever been shot? Like, I've literally had people ask me if I've ever been shot. And it's like, you know, I understand, because I understand the narrative that goes on around Detroit, but yeah, it's not as crazy as it seems. It's not it's not dramatically crazier than the rest of the country. So I think that's a big misconception.
I think there are a lot of similarities between Berlin and Detroit, and differences as well. But I think one of the largest similarities is, again, the reason this project even existed is art, and kind of looking at, again, this lens of two cities that have been riddled with so much trauma and figuring out how to not exploit the trauma, how to heal the spaces that have not been healed, how to kind of reclaim, in the words of Maxine, how to reclaim your time. And I think that's what Berlin has done. I think that's what Detroit is doing, and I think that is a very large similarity.
All Detroiters, I feel like we come with a certain pride. So, I mean, that never changes. But seeing people really feel us and really have interest in what we're doing and have interest in supporting us felt really good.
It's not that Detroit gets a bad rep. I think that Detroit got a bad rep once, and people never start seeing it outside of that one reputation that the world had placed on it. But had people been coming to Detroit in the last 10, 15 years, they would have acknowledged the actual change that was happening, and they would have acknowledged the good things that are happening in Detroit. But again, what the media gets, what the world gets, is all of these small bad things, but they don't get the good things. But you have to come there and see it and experience it. So yeah, I don't think that it's continuously getting that bad rep. I think it's something that somebody just kind of stuck to Detroit, and it's starting to go away with, again, projects like Be-troit, with the world just having a larger lens on Detroit. And yeah, I think that reputation will be, that narrative will be changed pretty quickly.
So there have been like so many folks who have supported us, institutions and individuals, that I just wouldn't even be able to mention them all in this small piece. And this whole little clip that we are producing right now is just basically a teaser for what's coming, which is this tremendous film by Philip Halver, who was a filmmaker from Berlin, who was with us in Detroit, and who really captured this project and the city of Detroit beautifully.
Being a part of this project was life-changing for me personally. I've been a part of collectives, I've worked on collaborative projects, but I've never been a part of a project where I learned so much from the other artists involved. And then being able to travel halfway across the world was also like crazy. I've said in some of these sessions that I literally haven't been anywhere but Canada, which is 15 minutes from my house. So, like really, I couldn't imagine, I literally have no idea what my life would be like or who I would be as a person without this experience. Like, I'm really thankful to you guys for this experience. It's been great.
So Be-troit is just a vision for hopefully many beautiful projects to come. Unfortunately, there is no Detroit-Berlin official Detroit-Berlin city partnership. So we hereby declare one. You know what I'm saying? Because it's about the artists, it's about the young people, it's about exchange. And it is our responsibility and it's our challenge to find the money to make that happen. But in today's climate, with everything that we see going on politically worldwide in the United States, as well as what just happened with the German elections just a few days ago, I mean, it just shows that we have to continue this work.
I know that in the film, one of my friends was talking about how we are an empty city. And while we did have a lot of people leave the city, it's not an empty city. It's not just a city of ruins. So shout out to IP for showing that, you know, the city has multiple sides and multiple perspectives.
So we have been to the University of Michigan. We have been to the Goethe Institute in Chicago. Big shout out to them because you know, their support made it possible for us to be here in the first place. We are currently at the University of Illinois, and we are moving on to Butler University tomorrow. I mean, later on this afternoon, and then that's that.
Okay, to sum up the tour, we are now leaving our last stop, which is Butler University. Right? Butler was great. Butler gave us gift bags.
I had a great time. Yeah, really good time. It was definitely a crazy experience.
Thank you so much to all the artists, so much to everyone who has supported us, all those who came out to watch the shows and discuss and stay tuned, and let's see what happens in the future.
If you tear half the label off of a jar, two things happen. One, the contents of the jar are still the contents of the jar. The label does not make it what it is or what it is trying not to be. Two, a half-labeled jar is still a labeled jar indeed. If you tear the part that says peanut off of a peanut butter jar, that does not make it butter. That does not make it any less brown, any more yellow, does not bring it any closer to the sun. People with peanut allergies will still view it as a threat when they see it, still shoot it down in the middle of the road in St. Louis, in a suburb in Florida, in a Walmart in Ohio, on a BART in California, say that it was in Florida playing its music so loud that they felt their throats closing, kill it and blame it on an allergic reaction. Tell me, when you went home to your family that night, did it feel like labelless bodies, humans free of everything except for their American, or did it feel like this is that feeling deeply that Audre Lorde was speaking about, like this is what Brittany and Crystal in Texas died over, not for you to only wear one of your flags, not for you to try and convince black people that the most important part about being black is to actually not be black. So your hair might curl when it rains, but when they come for you, they will not bring water. Their guns will not be loaded with compliments for all of the years that you spent on TV keeping their children company. They will not take off their hoods, lower their sickles, have your back, claim you as one of theirs, all because you don't know things like which country in Africa you're from. So you might think that here's the only language that your skin speaks, but I can assure you that racism is one hell of a translator. Old black or new black, you still black, you still target, you still one police stop away from your parents burying you on this same land you tried to protect. Don't make them have to remind you that you are still one of us.